seems to be very, very, very interesting in terms of the variety of disciplines and sciences, from musical accessibility to virtual geography. I have never heard of this before, and I'm very happy to learn that these things do exist in our universe. So I come here under the Erasmus Plus International Program, which is a program, a European-funded program, where it promotes exchange of students and staff and teaching staff between universities from Europe and other parts of the world. So this is something you can also, since you've got an agreement, you can see whether you would like to come over and visit our university and spend some time, something like 3 months for the students or less. For us, just 5 days. Yes. So you can always try this and see the parts, and it's always funded by our university, by the European Union funds, not Aristotle University, but European Union funds. Anyway, so let me check a little things about our university. Well, we are a very large university for Greek standards, because we are only a country with 10 million people. Compared to Brazil, we're just a pin on the wall, nothing else. Okay, so it is the largest university in Greece. It has been ranked as the position between 30 and 323rd in the world among. So this is quite a good ranking. It is situated in Thessaloniki. It is a co-capital and second largest Greek city, and it has got an airport, which is very important, so you can land right away to our city. Now, it offers undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD studies. Pick whatever you wish. A great variety of departments, starting from arts, ancient Greek, archaeology, theology, sciences, chemistry, physics, biology, and engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, architecture, etc., medicine involved, liberal arts, performing arts. So we've got cinema studies, theater studies, etc. And we have, as I've said before, an extensive exchange program with Erasmus and other exchange programs as well, but this is much more better for you. So, quite big, but your university is bigger than ours. It has got lots of facilities, and it's, of course, it's free of any tuition fees. We don't pay fees to any of our undergraduate courses. It's not only study. So we've got a Formula One racing team, which builds every 2 years a new model for Formula One cars, and participates in a competition that is organized around Europe, or several competitions, at least 2 or 3, and we usually get a quiet place to this. We've got an Imagine Cup team, and we've got a student summer camp, where, everybody enjoys the sea and swimming and having fun, like here in Rio de Janeiro, but this is also free for students and staff, partly. So, just let's do the usual thing about grabbing who I am. Now, you've got 2 lies in this rubric and 1 truth. So, just judging by me, and I'm going to take off my mask for a moment so you can see better my face. Just tell me which you think is the truth of these questions. Love dogs. Okay, number 1. Raised in Egypt. Okay, we have no. Okay, yes. Love dogs too. Dogs. So we've got 3 sentences here which describe myself. There is one which is true, and the other 2 are lies First one, and you have to select one which you think might be true for me. So first one is that I was raised in Egypt. Second one is that I love dogs. Third one is that I'm terrified of planes. Mind you, I came from Europe 2 days ago. So which one you think is true? Number 3, so that I'm terrified by planes. Okay. 2, dogs. Egypt, we've got 2, 4, yeah? 2 dogs. Dogs, okay? Dogs. Dogs. 3, terrified by planes, yeah? Sorry? No, which one do you think is true? 3, okay. 1. Okay, now the truth is that I really am terrified of dogs. I love flying because I have had almost a 12-hour flight on Friday, and sorry, can you hear me? Yes. And the fact is that I was born in Greece, but I was raised in Egypt because my parents were teachers. So they got a transfer to Egypt, and I've lived there for 8 years, which have practically somehow marked my life. I was there since I was 10 to 18, so I'm very open to intercultural things. So moving on to our thing, I would like to tell you what I'm going to do today for you. So today, it's all about presentations. It's all about how you communicate with other people. Okay, so today it's about presenting things. Now, a very important thing when you think about presentation, any presentation, is that you need to communicate something to other people. It is not something you tell it to yourselves. It is not something you need to think about. So you need to be able to transmit the message to other people. For this reason, what is important is the human factor. It is not, everything else is secondary. Because the fact that I'm here talking to you right now, and ideally without my mask, it would transform what I'm doing into something which is very, very powerful. Because if this has not been the case, then we would be thrilled with all this distance learning education and videos and podcasts. But do you think this actually work for you? Do you think that you can get the message and be motivated by this? Well, we don't like it, but maybe younger people, but let's see. So anyway, thinking that we have to do with communication, communication requires, first of all, 3 very important things. First, to be connected with the topic and the audience. So be well for them. Connected with the topic means to know about your topic. Not to know it perfectly, but be interested in your topic. Because the more interested you are, the more this is transferred to other people. So it is your passion that is converted to energy to the audience. And finally, we need to communicate, and we need partly to be able to persuade. And I will show you which techniques are very important for this. So, when you think about preparing a presentation, please remember that it needs to be well prepared in advance. You need to be passionate about it. Remember, this is very, very important. And finally, to be able to deliver it in a way that you will communicate your intended message. So today, well, not today, well, most of the time today, we are going to have this presentation has been outlined in 3 different sections. Today, we will mostly cover the first part, which is about, and the most important part, which is about how to prepare this presentation, how to select the content, how to actually build the introduction, the main part, the conclusion, what kind of arguments we need to have, how we structure these arguments, how many arguments can be perceived by our audience. Then tomorrow we will look at the presentation, the visuals, and how we can deal with things during performing, like nervousness, body language, questions. And then on Wednesday, if you wish to, you can perform this yourselves, because I'm going to show you how to prepare it, and then some of you can perform and then can get feedback from this audience to see how effective their performance has been. So now we can see a picture where everybody sleeps on a desk and someone is delivering a presentation. All presenters dread this thing. And all would like to have people enthusiastic by ending their presentation. So are you ready to start for this? Would you like me to go on? Any questions so far? No, okay. The very first thing is okay if I take my mask off. I mean, I have been vaccinated with 3 shots and had a PCR test 3 days ago before leaving Greece. So practically I've done everything. So the very first thing when you have to present something is to sit and spend time, not 2 or 3 minutes, to think about your audience. Why do you have to think about your audience? Because you need to communicate with them. So you need to ask your question, what do my listeners know about the topic? I mean, if you tell me about virtual geography, I have never heard before. So if you present to us virtual geography, I know nothing. But if you present this to your fellow students, they know practically as much as you do. Knowing how much your audience knows about the topic makes you able to expand or limit down the topic. First thing, the second one is, what do they need or want to know? How much new information should you put in your presentation? Because very often where we know a lot, we simply put too much info, and this doesn't work. A presentation is not a lecture. Okay. And finally, the third question is, how much new information can be absorbed? I will not be very enthusiastic about this, because very little. I mean, the moment you go out from this room, you will remember very few things of what I've said. What you will definitely remember is how you felt. Have you followed my presentation? Were you able to have some idea what I'm talking about? Have you thought that you were able to do this yourself? Yes. If yes, then you can go and check my notes, your notes, everyone's notes on the internet. But the important thing is how you have felt during the presentation. So when you start presenting things, put yourself in your audience, in your listeners' shoes. Because the moment I start being incomprehensible for you, this moment you switch off and you wait for this to end, which means that you will never come back to my lecture, which means that I have not succeeded in my goal. So remember, and this is why you need to think of your listeners when you prepare the presentation, when you start the very first moment. Not even when you do the PowerPoint or whatever. Because possibly in the future you have to deliver your master thesis or your any type of thesis. And you have to squeeze in 300 pages in 10 minutes. It's practically nothing, 10 minutes. So think of your listeners when you structure your presentation. Then you go to the next step, where we have to select the content, what we are going to put in this presentation. What is the content going to be about? So this time you have to think of something. What is the main point I want to get across? My main point in this presentation is to persuade you in doing whatever is needed to communicate with your audience and to motivate your audience. So at this point, when we start thinking about virtual geography, you say, what is the main point I want to get across to my audience? What is the most important thing? Is there something specific that I want my listeners to believe in or be persuaded about? For instance, the lady from medicine, she told me that she compares young adolescents with 30-something, 30-plus women in terms of pregnancy. So if she needs us to be persuaded that we should have children as early as possible, you build around this your content. And then, what kind of information will best support your main point? For instance, if this has, you know that there is a war going on in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. Are you aware of this? Okay. So if the young man from virtual geography had told me, would like to say, for example, what virtual geography is and how it affects people, then he would have said that, I don't know, 2 centuries ago, people who lived one next to the other, then were neighbors, like you are with Chile, they found something in the geography that was something common in between them. And this enabled them to overcome any arguments they had between the countries. So find something which is really important. My argument for persuading, for learning how to present, is that I want 2 scholarships, just because of presentation skills. Nothing more. That was not a competition. It was nothing else. Another one of my former students, he was offered a job position at BMW in Europe because he presented in a conference. He was so good that after that they told him that he should become a full-time presenter. And you know why? Because when you present, you show who you are, you show your character, you show your power of persuasiveness, you show your energy, you show your skills. So people want these skills of you, and you have the chance to show them to them. When you write a research paper which is excellent for science, you never show how persuasive you are. You never show if you're happy, if you're enthusiastic about it, if you're inspiring, if you're motivating. No, never. So presentation skills is your chance to show what you're really worthy. Okay, so think of this. What kind of information will best support your main point? Which argument will appeal to your listeners? Yes, it is an appealing argument saying that I want 2 scholarships because of presentation skills. You will remember this forever. And please remember that we are still on the preparation stage. We are still in our office, all alone, thinking how to prepare and select the content. We have not actually written anything down yet. And this is very crucial. And finally, think about the arguments. Please remember that you need to be very selective, very, very selective. Students very often think that the more arguments they just provide people in a presentation, the more academic they are. No, presentation is just, first thing when you want to know something. It is not a 30 pages long paper. It is not a book. So select those arguments which are very important. Remember that the audience cannot remember more than 3 to 4 arguments maximum. Don't make a list of 10. Okay, 3 to 4, no more. And then after that was the time that we have tried to prepare our content. Think about what we're going to write on. So at this point, what I'm going to ask you to do is just think of something you would like to present to us. Would you like to present to us your discipline? Would you like to present to us your flat? Your holidays? I don't mind anything, as long as you pick now a topic you would like to present, at least to me, if you don't want to present to the whole audience. So I'll give you 2 minutes to think about it. Think what you would like to present. What I'm going to do with the gentleman, because I don't know how to. Should I give it to him? So please write, you've got a photocopy. What is the topic of my presentation? And I would like you to write the topic of your presentation just after this. Thank you. Please write your topic. It does. It doesn't have to be something which is complicated. It can be very straightforward. It can be, for example, presenting the nice forest you've got. Is this forest? It can be anything. It can be something very simple. All I want you is to learn the technique, how to do it. Okay? Yes, please, this is going a copy for you. You have to write it just on the first box. Ideally in English, but if you want, you can just write it in Portuguese and explain this to me. The first one, yes. Just tell me, yes, you can write the topic, and then if you wish, you can move to the next questions. Yes. But I would like this to discuss it with you afterwards. Hi. Yeah. Okay. No, it's the same. Okay. So, what's your topic?
How to import or export using Brazilian post.
Import or export?
Using Brazilian post.
Okay. Now, so what do we know? When you start presenting things, think of us as listeners. We are going to be the audience, not me. You, the rest of you, is going to be the audience for your topic. So you know how to narrow down what you're going to present. So,
I need to
yes, yes. What do we know and what do we need to know about this? Funeral constructions?
Yes, this is my research.
Okay, funeral constructions and burial rites.
In Egypt, Israel, between
Okay, just make it specific here. But what do
what
what do we know? We are the listeners. Nothing.
nothing.
Okay, you just write nothing here.
Oh yes, nothing.
What do we need to know? What do you think it's very useful for us to know?
Useful for us to understand. When you ask me, I, it's better. When you ask me,
Mm.
I get the feeling. I think want to understand how life was,
How they?
how they, because the burying, the
Yes.
archaeological burial is
Yeah.
not about death in itself,
Yes.
but life is com not common, routine life.
So, do you mean that it is part of the routine of life, burying people?
Yes, routine of life.
Okay, so you need to show that this was part of the routine of their life. Is that right? So, routine of their life.
Of their life.
Why is this important for us to know? Why do we have to know this?
Because when you look to the past and understand how the burial was connected to the gods, to the routine of the life, you can reflect about.
Write this. Write this. You can reflect about today and not have depression.
You can
Reflect
reflect about
today.
today.
Okay.
Good.
And then what else do you do? So if you reflect about today, what is the next point? What is the thing? Okay, we reflect. Does this make us happier, healthier?
You change the way of you.
Write this.
What?
So you move this from step to step because you show to other people why it is important to know to listen to you.
Okay.
So
the name of my research.
okay. So, would you like to say this? Is this in English? No. Frida Kahlo. Okay. So, what is the topic?
Frida Kahlo, from the communist painter to the merchandising image.
Okay. Merchandise. Okay. Yes, yes, I got this. So, what do we know about the topic? Yes, probably.
Just about previous life, a little bit. Research is about how the merchandise.
Okay. So, what do we know about her? I suppose all I know is her picture, with earrings. I don't know if other people in Brazil know more about her.
And there is a subculture about it.
Okay, so you just you need to write what kind of culture, how far you think people know about this. Make that sure that you write this. How do they know? So, climate change. Okay, what do you need in word is warming? And so what happens after that? So just to get the jacket, yeah. It's warming and, yeah?
Who listeners you are talking about?
We, this room.
When I
Yes, no, this is going to be for this room, for these people here. I'll be back in a moment.
and here, this point, it's here, yes?
These are the arguments,
The argument.
the key points, and then the arguments. Okay. Yeah.
The form, I changed the way about living.
Okay. Yes. These are the key points.
About that. I have never think about that.
Yes. So,
I don't know what they know about this topic now.
and can I be back just in a moment because I was working with someone else, and I'll help you on this. Okay. So, we know though that with the world is warming, and what else do we know? Do you have a change in the climate in Brazil?
People think that it's always warming every place, and it's just the climate is gonna be chaotic, or
Okay.
much more chaotic every time, but it's not.
Do they
Oh.
do they know this? If they know it, write it down. Write down what you think they know. Not just that it is boring. Write down what they know to know. And then what do they need to know? Is this your kid? Is this your, so what happens if it's not warm at other places?
But it's a fact.
Okay, this is the fact. What else do they need to know? Because you say, okay, it's not warm at every place, and try listen to this. This is an opposition, okay? What happens that it is not warm at every place?
What happens? I don't know.
So if this is the only thing you need to tell us, you need to show us what is the relevance for our life. Why do we need to know?
To say that's not a linear thing. That's complicated. It's very chaotic too. I don't know how to say in English.
Okay, yes, it's chaotic, yes. But then, still, what do you think? Hi. Okay, but still, what do you think? It's very complicated. So, just get to this so what happens?
Okay.
If I learn about this, for example.
I have to change this one.
Yeah, okay, yes. Make it more specific. So, what is your topic?
Explain what is your job.
Okay, now can we go to this? Oh, yes, write this, explain. Now. How simpler.
Yes, and we will like.
What is the relevance of this?
A little bit maybe to understand more about the topic, about what is, because we see a lot of time in television. And people sometimes say a lot of different stuff. They, I don't know how to say word in English.
Fake news?
No, not fake news. When I think about the person before knowing her.
Okay, so that would be speculation.
Yes, yes, like this. When you say that, oh, that person is bad, and you didn't know
Okay,
her, so.
so this could be stereotypes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So just to show people.
Yes. What is important is to show people that this may be stereotypes, and then you can say that if we try to avoid stereotypes, then our life might be simpler. Related to the So is this your point? Yes, okay. Is this? Okay, you're doing fine. So, yeah, sure. So tell me about this. What is your environment impact can caused by tourism in the region on? Okay, yes. So this is your topic. What do these people know, for example, about this region? Nothing.
This
You get,
very
yes,
nothing,
you
yeah.
get, so you write nothing because you were not present. When you start to prepare a presentation, you need to be aware of your listeners. If they know, for example, if you present this to your fellow colleagues, students, they know everything. So it is very boring to repeat things they know. But if we know nothing, then you need to guide us to this. Okay, and show us. For example, if we don't know what the region, then you should show them up. Then you should say the tourism pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, and then you elaborate on the disadvantages. So in this case, what do we know is nothing. What is your main point? What do you want to tell us?
Yeah, that the way of the tourism is prioritized in this region cause negative environmental impacts. Okay.
Right? Yes. Yes, please. How to import export using Brazilian post, okay? Maybe someone has imported, maybe they know that Correios is what's this? Okay. It's good to export, import using Brazilian, okay. Why is it good?
So, correct. Correios, for example, has good solutions to exporting goods. Company. I need to complete
Okay,
one.
yes, and say why. For example, Brasilia has more money. More people would be employed in jobs. It is accurate. It is time. It is not time consuming. Whatever you need to say why. Okay. Yes. There are the arguments as well. Yes, please. Can I help you? What are you going to work on? Polymers. Materials. We know nothing. We know polymers is plastic. That's all we know. So you just said polymers equals plastic for us. What good will it do if you know about the topic? Process and consistency and okay, yes, if you need to tell us how can we connect to the causes is not logical. The consequences, what happens using polymer for the environment? So So write this. What happens in the environment when we use polymers? And that polymers and use, okay, polymer and use of the environment. What do you say here? What is the impact of the environment on our life? Okay, so this is why this is important for us. If it's going to happen in 100 years, we don't care. Okay. Yes, please. What is the most important, for example, what is the most striking thing?
It shows to the listeners that this region is environmental place, very rich in forests and rivers. So
Okay, so in this case, yes, the most important thing to tell us is that we have got the soul, one of the most important environmentally wealthy region, which is going to be destroyed, and this has some consequences on our lives as well. So this is the most important thing.
yeah, okay.
So you write this. Yes, please. Hydrogels. What do we know?
Maybe nothing, and maybe some medical applications.
Nothing. We know nothing. Okay, so in this case, we don't know. We know nothing. But you say this may not be true because you use diapers. Not you use. People use diapers. People do that. So this is hydrogels. So if you wish to show us what hydrogels is, and we don't feel another scientific word, you just say think about diapers,
Yeah,
baby's diapers. How do they work?
yeah.
So in this case, you write practically nothing, but then you make us think that we know a lot. Then the importance of hydrology in agriculture. Okay.
Need to know about it.
Okay. So this is what we're going to learn about. So irrigation, improvement by hydrogels, release of what's this? Fertilizers and not conditioning by hand.
Soil condition.
Okay. How the word spends.
Yeah, I wrote spends, and then I got confused.
Okay.
Just read.
Which actively? What's this?
Which activity spend the most water in the world? That would be
Okay.
my point of view.
To save water.
Yes,
Okay.
the most the
So
activity that
in this
spend most
case, if you want to think that this saves water, when you talk about diapers, because from diapers to agriculture is a long way, you are going to say that hydrogels manage to save water. Remember this.
yes.
This is the only thing you're going to tell, because the moment we think of diapers, we think of babies or old people. Okay, so you just transform this into a way that you say, yes, this is a way we save water, and this is how you relate to this.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the definition.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so you just definition, very important, yes. Okay, what is your topic? It's the relation among countries. The main thing that help us understand international policy. So, yes, okay, this is what we need to know.
Yes.
There are different views that help us to understand. There is no good or bad guys, there are only interests, okay? So did you explain?
Explain the
Okay, so if this, okay, this is not, because it's not an argument. This is this. Just cross number 2. this is what you want us to.
You need to explain more
Yes,
than number two.
yes. No, you want. This is not an argument. This is your conclusion. Can you get it? So you need to key points that support representation. So what you first of all is that there are different theories. Then, for example, we should not confuse international federations with laws or economic situations or something. Can you get it?
Yes. But I thought that I would say first just to understand that then I would explain why.
No, it is better to start the opposite way. Present your arguments and then say at the end there are no good or bad guys.
Yes.
Can you get what I mean? This is a way of, for example, if I want to describe what I'm wearing a jacket and a dress, okay? But if I say, let me show you what I'm wearing, so I'll just I put on my dress, and then I say it's cold, I put on my jacket. So it's a different way to present an argument. Either you present the big thing first, and then you split it into the other small parts that make this big thing, or you present the little things first, and then you say, hello, this is the big thing. Now, in this case, the big thing is this one. If I were you, because you have to change my way of doing things, I would start by saying little things, and then add to this. Yes. Okay. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I'll just thank you for this. I'm feeling a little bit awkward with the micro. I've never been a star so far, so it's just my first trial. Yeah, so can I just go around this way?
I would like to talk about Brazil's nuclear submarine project.
Submarine project.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
People may know that this project is being discussed or promoted by military forces.
Okay.
Actually. People want to know why it's important to be discussed or what are the main points of this project.
Is this what they need to know, or are they worried that this might not be good for the country because it's nuclear power?
Good point. The nuclear aspect is the fuel.
Okay,
It's not a weapon, just the fuel.
okay,
The key point people need to know in what Brazil is investing its money.
okay.
This project can represent a turning point to the country.
Mm-hmm.
This one I think is
Can alter the
important.
relationship in the South Atlantic? Oh, okay.
The rest of the world.
Why is this? Why?
Marine, Navy,
Okay,
military
is
forces
so.
interested in it.
Okay, I would say that this is the first thing you would place.
Yeah, no,
Not this. Okay,
number
why
four?
is yes? Number 4
Okay.
would be 1.
Okay.
Okay, then you would say that this is. You could just say that this can, if you take from a military point of view, you would say that this is how it could alter the relationships in the South Atlantic,
Yeah.
region. Then you would say how this would change the place of Brazil in this region, okay? And then in the end, it would be why so by presenting all this, what we know, what we as citizens, as normal people, what is important for us.
Okay.
Can you get this idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, please.
I will talk about the course of international relations, specifically in UERJ,
Okay.
because the focus of this course changing depending of the university. And I will talk about this because people don't know too much about it. They think that it's only about travel to different countries, or they think that it's only about diplomacy. But it's more than this. And I want the people, I think the people need to know that the course teach different theories international politics, and it teaches them also about the international system, how countries behave in the international system. And my key points I will talk about that the course have multiple disciplines like economy, politics, social science, and I will also talk about the professional of this area.
Okay, what's the key point you want to get across?
I want to talk about the importance of this course and why it matters.
Okay, why it matters is the key point, not the importance. Why this matters. So make this specific, why it matters for you and for me. Can you please make this specific? Because if you say the important is very general. I mean, all courses are important. So why it matters, and then you find the arguments to make us to be persuaded why this matters.
Yeah, it matters to start the dialogue between the countries to try to.
No, the course doesn't matter for starting dialogues. This is not your job. You move too far ahead because you're talking about the course of this university. Is that right?
Yes, so it's to create in our minds the sense of word citizenship.
Sorry?
To create in our minds, to put in our minds.
Yes, what?
The sense of word citizenship.
What's the last word? Citizenship, is that?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, in the West, in what sense citizenship?
Because we are not alone. We are not our only country. There's a lot of countries.
Okay, so in this case, this is what matters for us, for you and me. So this course enables us to have the sense of citizenship. And why is this important for you and me? Because it's for me. I'm not Brazilian, I'm Greek, but it is important for me. Why?
Because we are not alone in the world, the pandemic is a very good example of us to understand and see why we have to keep this sense in our minds.
In order to do what?
Excuse me.
In order to do what?
To try to unite people all around the world.
Okay, so this is the point you want to reach. Can you get it?
Yes.
Try to make it for you and me, not for general. The more specific you are, the better people are able to understand you. Okay? Yes? So, yes, please.
I tend to,
Yeah.
I tend to consider the listener knows about Egypt and Israel history, and I put, for example, number one.
From
about the
material,
way-
culture, of archaeology, of burial,
Yes,
they want to know about the religious customs.
they want to know about.
Still, why does it matter to them? Why does this matter to them?
Why?
Why? I know, well, I have worked with practically everyone, and I know that maybe some of you, I put you in a hard position because I always say why. Now, the reason I'm saying why is to get you to the actual focus of your presentation. Because, you know, we are actually bombarded with information. Practically speaking, very few of us would like to listen to new, documentaries and things about the world. So think of your presentation as something which is not once more new information. So you need to relate it to their life somehow. For instance, what you've said earlier about talking about burial customs in ancient Egypt, yes, it's very interesting. But it's not my top priority for today. I mean, I wouldn't sit and listen to burial customs today. So if you just say that why we need to listen to burial customs, because burial customs were part of the routine of their lives, so their life was viewed from a different perspective, which means that if we reflect on this, then we can also have a good example of a different perspective which might apply in our life. It might not lead us to depression or other psychiatric illnesses. So try to relate your topic to people's interests. And you know what is very interesting for anyone in the world? Number 1 topic, health. Number 2 topic, cost. Not money, cost. Number 3 topic, efficiency. How can I be effective? And if you relate this to time, because we are all effective. If we try for 40 years, yes, we'll be effective. But if we can make the same thing, instead of doing it in 40 years, we can take it in 4 years. I mean, think of the vaccine that it was created. In the past, they had to create it in 3 years or 4 years. Now they squeezed it into 18 months or something. So can you see this time in relation to efficiency? So try, for example, and this is very important, it's actually the first thing that I'm saying here is actually benefit. Because when you do this, I'm going to explain it. Try to show why this is important for people. For example, if you say that burial customs enable us to find a way to, I don't know, find medicine or, I don't know, or change our perspective or think about changing our perspective, that could be an asset. So try to, I repeat once more, relate your presentation to things that matter to all people. If your presentation is not related to these key points anyway, it doesn't matter. Just make it as close to their life as possible. As close as possible. Okay? So what you've done right now, which was a workshop, you have seen how you prepare the presentation. I repeat this again and again, because in Greece, at least it happens, they say, oh, I have to do a presentation, it's nothing, I just cut, I have written something, I copy it, and I paste it to my presentation. This is the key, well, this is the road to failure. Okay, so if you want to fail, you will do this. On the contrary, if you want to succeed, you do this. You answer these 3 questions as specifically as possible. Avoid general things, because general don't give us information. I mean, to give you a very good example of this is that if I say my day in Rio was good, is this interesting for you? No. If I say my Rio my day in Rio was captivating because I had seen this and that and that, interesting because I visited that and that. So this is the opposite of general to specific. Make your topic specific from the very beginning. Okay. So what I would like now to do is to have 5, or 10 minutes break, so to freshen up a little bit for you and change things, and then we move to the more specific, how we structure the 3, what we put in these 3 different parts of presentation. The presentation has 3 different parts. We'll just go through this now. Okay. So we'll have a 10 minutes break. 10 minutes, okay? Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, now, because people ask if you can keep your papers, yes, you can keep the paper. And also, I think there are some more questions behind it. And there is some theory, if you wish to go back to this when you present the presentation. So you remember this very well when you have to do it again. Now, also, this is you remember the questions, so this is very important why I asked you to write them down, because when you prepare something, we tend to get lost, especially when the information is huge. So when you refer to what you wrote, you always have a very good referring point, a reference point, that keeps you back on track. Okay. Now, a presentation should have 3 parts. And please be very, 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 keep this always, all the time, especially if you're addressing a European audience. Because some cultures in Europe, especially the northern cultures, are lost if they do not have an introduction or if they don't have especially a conclusion. You might have a concluding remark, but if you don't write conclusion, they say that you have never said anything. So yes, that's silly, yes. So make sure that you say this is going to be my introduction, this is going to be my main part, this is going to be my conclusion. So remember that we've got these 3 parts. So how can, no, this is not the first slide. Have I? Where's the, is that, okay. Okay, now, the very first thing is that you should, when you have prepared your presentation, you've got it, you've got this paper, and you start writing it either on a hard copy, on a piece of paper, or you start doing this as a PowerPoint, okay, whatever you wish. The first thing is what do you write in the introduction? There are 3 techniques you can use. You may use either one of them or all of them. I would suggest that you pick only one, because the introduction is important, but not that important. Okay. So in the introduction, you can do, first of all, describe the outline of the presentation. What does this mean? So in this presentation, I'm going to tell you about how to prepare the content of your presentation, how to limit down this, and I will end up by showing how to be successful. This is an example. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about global effect, explain the consequences of global effect and the effectiveness of something. Okay, so this is number 1. Number 2, present the benefits, very important. By the end of this presentation, you will be able how to structure effectively any presentation and how to deliver it, I don't know, successfully and possibly win a scholarship. Okay? So say why you do this. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to know not only about the burial customs of ancient Egypt, but also how to view your life in a different way. By the end of this presentation, you will know how chemistry can enable us to save water through an application. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to know how international relationships can structure the way we interact with other people, not only with other countries. So can you get this benefit thing? And finally, another way is capture listeners' attention by narrating an absolutely relevant story, what I told you earlier. I knew nothing about presentation skills unless one day I found out that just by presenting myself, I won a scholarship. And you know what? I repeated this afterwards, and I won another scholarship. So money-wise speaking, learning how to present is very good. Okay, so you just find a question, for example, a story, or well, many years ago, my teacher told me at the primary school, my teacher told me, beware of water. And I never knew what this meant for my life. I thought water was something we could waste it and use it as long as we live. But things turn differently today, and I realized that we need to save water. So my teachers, can you get this? 3 ways of capturing your readers, your listeners' attention. This is how you structure the introduction. Any questions? No. So we'll move to the second part, which is the main part of the presentation, where the actual information is. So how do I develop the main part? When you have a presentation, you usually have a research question or a question. For example, can we live without water? No. Can we save water? I would say no. I cannot stop having my washing machine. But today I'm going to show you how to save water. So just have this question, which might not be a question, but might be a statement, but put us as listeners into the hardcore of what you're going to present. For example, is tourism, after all, beneficial for Brazil? Or for, what is the place you told me about? I can get the Dimama. Okay, discovery Dimama. Okay. So is tourism beneficial for this? So, and then you have to say, this is what I'm going to present today, because I believe that if tourism is for today's living important and beneficial, it might be destructive for the next generation. This is the place where you link what you're going to present with your life, with your listeners' lives. Remember the key things: health, cost, time, effectiveness. Try to relate them to this, if possible. Okay? Then, this is the very first 2 questions of the main part. And then, okay. Sorry, there seems to be, okay, now the second slide of the main part, where you present, you have presented the research question, and then you present if you've got your research results. This might be a formal research. For example, you're doing many people told me that you're doing some research. So it might be the results of your research, that we have done this experiment, that we have conducted these interviews, that we have collected this data, and this show that. So this is the hardcore of your research, the data, the arguments that you can use to persuade us that what you're saying is true and valid. And also remember to present the conclusions. Many people tend to present just research results without saying what this means. What is their significance? This is what we call in a research paper the discussion part. Why are they significant, for example, in relation to the theory? Do they justify the theory? Do they extend the theory? Do they show a gap in the theory? This is the place where you present your own original piece of what you've done. Is this clear to you? The way to reach this stage is by asking yourself why all the time. Why are my research results important? Because theory says that, blah, 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 I don't know. Okay. Why are they different from the theory? No, they are the same. So in this case, they justify the theory. They say that the theory is true. Is there any difference between the theory and my results? Yes, there is. But because my research is valid, this shows that there is something in the theory that might be extended, that should be improved, that should be further investigated. So this is the conclusion and the implication. And believe me, this is how major discoveries in the world happened. Just by asking yourself, why? Okay. And then we complete with this main part. And we move to the conclusion. Now, conclusion is a little bit tricky. Because conclusion is the part where some people have been a little bit tired because they just listen to you, but it's your way to wake them up and make yourself remembered. Okay, so you can say this is the conclusion, and everybody, okay, it's over now. Yes, okay. But how can you structure that so that you make yourself comprehensible and rememberable? First thing, there are 4 ways you can structure your conclusion. First one is you repeat the main question, research question. So my research question, my question has been today, is really worthy learning about presentation skills. Research shows that yes, because people want a BMW job position or a scholarship or I don't know, whatever else. Okay. This is a little bit, I don't like this at all. Not I don't like it, but it's very straightforward for me. The second way is to complete your talk, your presentation, with 2 or 3 sentences which are meaningful, touching, and accurate. So today I have presented a presentation skills course which aimed to enable you to become more skilled and successful people in communication. I believe that if you follow this, you will be able to succeed in your future presentations. And that is it. No extras. 2 or 3 sentences. These sentences, as you will see in the next 2 techniques, they echo in your heart the moment you close the door and you get out of this room. This is the impact that this has had on you. So this is why I told you that the conclusion, I don't particularly like the first one, but in academic presentation or research presentations or in conferences, they tend to use number 1. It's much more formal, straightforward, etc., etc. Let's have a look at these. Now, the other one, a summary of the conclusions. So far, and then you can appeal to people the other way. So let's look, sorry. Okay, so what we've done today is we have looked at the various ways of preparing a presentation and selecting the content. Now, let's go back and have a look at what you have achieved. You have all managed to do that. So the moment you go back at your room, do this and ask for action words. Do this. Prepare your next presentation. Be ready to succeed in your next presentation. So you just try to summarize the conclusion and ask people to act. And the other thing is you can always say these famous words like, I'm reminded of the words of Einstein, who said that we no longer want to, to build cities. We need to be bridges between people in order to help them word in a better word, to help them communicate. So this is what you have learned today, how to communicate. Okay? So this is the call for action. And finally, if you want to touch the feelings of people, you can say these heartfelt messages, a little bit lyric, but it works, believe me. So if you take just one thing from this talk, is this: please get in your listeners' shoes. And that's all. So you build the conclusion according to these 4 ways, which echo, please remember this, they echo in your hearts. And if you recall who were the teachers who were more effective in delivering their teaching to you ever since you've been a toddler, 5 years old, till today, were these who were more accurate, straightforward, or were these who somehow managed to sneak in your heart? Think about it. So these are the 4 ways which enable you to conclude your presentation. So today, what we've done is you've learned the hardest part of a presentation, which is how to select the content and prepare the content. And what I would suggest is that you try and think about building a presentation. What I'm going to do tomorrow is I'll show you the slides. It is how we present things, why we need to have presentation on board, why we need to have a PowerPoint. A presentation is as good as without a PowerPoint. I mean, not all people need the PowerPoint. But if you have a PowerPoint, it reinforces the memorability of your message. It enables people to get back to this when they are lost. I mean, while looking at you, very few of you look at the PowerPoint, they look at me. And this is what I told you in the beginning about the human factor. It is the human factor that makes a presentation good, not the PowerPoint things. The PowerPoint is there to help me, but not substitute me. So it's going to be about these delivery things, which visuals, etc., how we structure them, some key things which people tend to do them wrong. And then we go about performance. How do we perform? Do I perform this way? I'm going to present something very interesting for you. This is what men tend to do. Women do this the other way. Today I'm going to talk about presentation skills, which is very important for everyone, and I will tell you more about this in a few minutes. So keep in mind that some of these things are very, very important. So this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow: performance, how we perform, and things like that. Very practical. And I would very much like you, if any of you, and ideally if most of you, would like to make a presentation which should not be longer than 10 minutes. And I'm very kind with you, because usually 10 minutes is a lot of time. Usually, you know, the hardest presentations are those which require 3 to 5 minutes. And this is why I tell you I'm kind with you. Yes, there are. You know, there are some competition for to find presenters, and those competitions ask people to talk about a key point, a key topic which matters for everyone. Let's say biotechnology, or explain a scientific topic, big data, in 3 minutes. And I'm going to explain to you, you know, this tendency that we all have to look at videos. Do you ever watch a video that lasts 20 minutes? Not even 10. 3, 5 max. And this is also the tendency of our times, you know, the TikTok videos which last 10 seconds, 20? I don't know how many, what's the duration? Very, very short, because we don't want to see too many things. So please prepare a presentation for the topic you have selected. Try to structure it today and write down the arguments. And then tomorrow, when you have this on the delivery techniques delivered by me, you can do a PowerPoint if you wish and present it to us. Because if you have never had a presentation before, you will be surprised by how you act and how you perform. And presentation is a matter of practice. The more you practice, the better you become. So it is much better to practice today, tomorrow, with us, get feedback from us, than practicing in front of your professors for an exam, or for in front of your examination board for your PhD, or in front of, I don't know, your boss at your job, or in front, where in cases where the result matters. In this class, nothing matters. I mean, there is no impact on you. So please prepare a presentation for Wednesday morning and time it no longer than 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Wednesday or tomorrow?
No, tomorrow, no. If you want, you can start tomorrow. Yes, because we are, oh no, I said Wednesday because tomorrow I'll just tell you a few more things about the theory.
Wednesday is better.
Yes, I know. Ideally, if someone would like to present tomorrow, it would be great. It would be great. Does anyone want to? I should have told you tomorrow then. Does anyone, because we can have a model, you know. Any volunteer for tomorrow? Please. Please. Tomorrow?
I will try.
Okay, thank you. One more volunteer? Please, yes, by all means. Okay, so by tomorrow, because this will enable us also to see the application of the theory. And believe me, usually the problems people face is that they are not very focused. And the presenter understands this, and the audience understands this. So if we have this tomorrow, you will be much better on Wednesday. Okay. So, any questions so far?
Yeah.
Please.
I would like to know about the questions during the presentation. Some people like to do questions about the specific topic. For you, is good, is bad? What is your opinion about these questions during the presentation?
How do we handle them? Is this your question? How to handle questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
During the presentation.
Okay. Or after the presentation?
No, during.
During the presentation. Okay.
Yeah.
You mean because right now you haven't interrupted me during my presentation. You're asking me after the presentation. Is this what you mean, or during? During. Okay. So, first of all, there is a slide on this. I've got this. Sorry. Okay. Now, first of all, there is a very, very important rule. When I'm standing here, even if I am very, very upset, or even if I'm very modest, or even if I'm not very talkative and bored, no matter what, I am the center of this room. I'm the central thing. So first thing is that you are always welcoming questions. You never get upset, because the moment I get upset and start saying, why have you asked me right now? Why are you interrupting me? Then the audience does not stand by me. So I was a very nice center. I could have become a star, but in the end, I end up nothing. So I ruin my presentation. So rule number one, you welcome questions. You say, thank you very much for this. If this interrupts your train of thought and your presentation, you just say, yes, I will come to this in a few moments. I will answer this as I carry on my presentation. If this is something that has nothing to do with your presentation, because someone wants to talk, you would say, thank you very much for this, but this is not so much related to this, but I can explain this during the break. So you postpone this, and maybe this person forgets about it, and it's irrelevant. If they become rude to you because you have said something which is not appropriate for them, for example, you tell me, okay, you're standing there presenting to us something, and this is not nice, and you're wearing a very bad and inappropriate dress. Okay, you just insult me. In this case, you try to have lower voice, and you never show antagonism. You never become aggressive. You speak slowly and with low tone pitch voice, because the calmer I look, and the better is for me in the long term. If I say, you are very rude with me, sir, and I don't allow this, once more I become aggressive, maybe less aggressive than this person, but if this person is aggressive, then the whole audience is with my side, not with his side. The moment I raise the tone of my voice and I become more, how may I say this? Not only aggressive, but more passionate about what I'm saying in a very high-pitched tone, this moment I become an enemy. So, to wrap all these things, generally speaking, welcome questions. Be very polite with people. If they become aggressive, just speak with low tone voice and slowly, and try to wrap up things. Say, yes, we can talk about this during the break. If they are right, or if you have said something, for example, I made a mistake, acknowledge it. Say, thank you very much. That was an error I made. And thank you for correcting me. There is nothing wrong accepting that you're wrong at all. No one is perfect. Just the mummies in the ancient Egypt. But there is a lot wrong if I say, no, I'm right. No, this is not nice what you've done. Okay. And there is about the tone, how the voice goes up and down. There is a whole, well, it's becoming a science. I wish I had studied this, where the way you speak and when it goes down, it makes people relaxed. And the ideal speaker for this is former President of the United States, Obama. If you listen to him, he might talk about very, very critical things around the globe, and you say, well, yes, this is a nice story, what he's saying. He doesn't stress you at all, because he does this. Yes, his voice goes up and down. So try to be very calm with your voice going down. That's all. Any other questions? Anything else? So one more volunteer for tomorrow, please, please. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, both gentlemen, for being so kind and so such volunteers. I know it's very stressful to do this in a day, I know, and I will appreciate it. Probably buy you a drink tomorrow or something for this, for what you've done. I wouldn't like to get into more theory today because I think that has been too much for a day, so it won't be absorbed. So that's more or less. Yes, please. Sorry, I can't hear you. I still cannot hear you properly. Do you want to do a presentation today? Oh yes, please, by all means. Yes, so we've got a hero. This is the first. I have taught this course in many parts of the world, and it's the first time that I've got this hero. Believe me. So would you like to have a micro? It's all yours. Become a star. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the topic I'm going to address for now is about the thing that was introduced before with virtual geography. Now, as stated before, I believe many of you don't really understand what is virtual geography and how this is different from regular geography. Many of you understand that geography is about the study of things like capitals, cities, states, stuff about the space. But the thing is, I would like to address a famous quote that is, geography is about it functions first and foremost for doing war. Because, you know, if you know where things are in the space, you know where to do war. You know about the relationships between states, about how to reach places. Geography has an intimate relationship with since it was developed. Even though none of the geographers at first were exactly war hawks per se, but it was always developed by, but it was always made as an instrument of war over the generations. So I would like to illustrate about virtual geography something that is very, very particular about this kind of relationship, which is the cyber warfare. Some of you might have heard about the war in Ukraine, that the government in Ukraine has recruited a task force of cyber recruits to fight against cyber attacks from Russia. The thing is, it's not only Ukraine that is being attacked by Russia from cyber warfare. Russia is also attacking other countries, like for instance, the United States. And it has been doing that even before the war in Ukraine. And the United States, of course, is fighting back. And the United States is not only doing that to Russia and back and forth. The United States has also doing cyber warfare to places like Iran, China, etc. Cyber warfare has an interesting aspect, is that you cannot prove that they did it. I mean, it's all on the internet. You can cyber warfare has this aspect of anonymity. It's not yet entirely regularized by international law, but it has just as much destructive potential as regular warfare. It can disrupt a nation just as much as regular warfare, if properly used. And there is no, and unlike the regular warfare, where we have a whole enormous array of international treaties that basically are there to put countries so that they don't strike, at least they don't strike their allies, they don't betray each other. Cyber warfare, there's not this kind of rules. Allies can go to cyber warfare with each other because, once again, they can't prove they did it. And here's one specific aspect of the virtual geography. It's this aspect of that the internet introducts, which is this dissolution of the distances. The internet and other related technologies, they reduce the distance by enabling the instant communication. You can, through the internet communication, someone from anywhere around the globe, instantly. You can do phone calls, video calls. You can even make a conference just like if you were doing a presentation. You can do a presentation like this from anywhere around the globe, so long as you have access to the necessary equipment. And the virtual geography tries to acknowledge this, because this changes a lot on the environment and the relationship in the space, because this is a whole new aspect of the globalized world. Now we have a situation in which every single space is interconnected with every other space. We already live in a globalized world, but here's the catch: many people try to paint this as if this is a complete dissolution of the space. Now we live in a globalized world, so everyone lives in everywhere, but that's not exactly true. Although we have the potential to relate with anyone in the world instantly, we do not do that on a daily basis. That would be excessive. We still have a deep attachment with our surroundings, because we live where we live. That might be a bit obvious. We are still bound to our material surroundings. So we're for now. We don't know what the technology might bring in the future. I don't know, teleportation. Let's get back to it. We're still bound to our material surroundings. So the local, that which is close to us, still matters. And here's an interesting aspect of this. If the local still matters, this means that the local and the global now have a how would I say, a dichotomy, a conflict relationship between them. And this conflict relationship expressed in different forms all around the world. You have many countries that are trying to close themselves in attempts to try not only to defend against the cyber attacks, like for instance Russia and China, they formed what is called closed networks. You can't they have their own internets, as if to say, in which you pretty much can't access from outside. You have to use special programs, special protocols, etc. And vice versa. You have a lot of you have many. Now there's the problem of the preparation. I haven't really prepared many examples to put.
You're doing great. Would you like to carry on, or may I just make a comment on this?
I think you should stop by now. I've lost myself. Yes. In conclusion, now my vocabulary is losing myself. To sum it up, no, I need to practice a bit my English. To sum it up, we live in a globalized world. This interconnection between the spaces means that whenever we do an analysis of the world, even if we do something like an environmental analysis, we have to take in notice that we live in an interconnected space, and that we should always take that into account. We should always know that it's not just that space that we are analyzing, but how that space is related to everywhere around the world in this network of the internet and other related technologies.
Well, that was great, and it was great because you have prepared this just yourself. And you just did this in English without any preparation that would enable you to narrow down things. A few things that I should comment on when you prepare your presentation. Not your presentation, your PowerPoint. What PowerPoint enables us to. For example, in the beginning you said the difference between virtual and something else geography. I couldn't get what was the other type of geography. So if you write the word virtual geography and whatever geography, you enable people to see what you're saying. So if you miss something, it's there for me to see. So what I would do in your case is I would write this difference in the beginning and explain the difference. And then I would try to limit down. I mean, the way you pose this is things we are in the beginning, we all live and we know how to make war. And this enables us. But try to limit it down more to the actual what virtual geography does for this. You gave us very good examples with the internet and this war cyber warfare. It's the first time I listened to this term. Mind for this for everyone. When you use terms, do not take for granted that other people know these terms. For example, maybe this term is very, very common to you, but not to other people. Especially people from sciences, when you talk to people from arts, who are much more different in the way they use technology and they are not interested in technological stuff, make sure that you're very, very accurate and you enable them to follow this. Okay. because it can turn really problematic when you, so define the terms. So what is cyber something, and how this is related to virtual geography? Because somehow what we did is that you presented virtual geography with international relations in a way, and globalization. Is that right? Yes, you did that perfectly well, but you need to be a little bit more, always relate to your central topic, which is what is virtual geography. So tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, whenever you're ready, where you just have it more structured, it would be ideal, believe me, because I mean, it was very, very interesting listening to what you've said. So can you get this, how this can be developed and how you can catch? Always mind the time. So no more than 10 minutes, no more, max. If it can be less, it would be ideal. Yes. Anyone else for tomorrow? Come on, you can see how nice this can be. Thank you. Thank you. And you can see also how people are anxious, for example, you know, when they talk, because they need to concentrate on the language, they need to concentrate on the content. They are not always able to look at you in the eyes, which is very important. This is something we're going to talk tomorrow, because they are concerned with saying things right. But the more you practice, the more you learn about your topic, the more you're passionate, not passionate, because you practice because you're passionate. So the more you're well aware with your topic, the more you become connected with your audience. And you do this by looking at them in the eyes for a couple of seconds. So these are, you know, some tricks or techniques.
Could you talk about the PowerPoint, how
Okay, would you like to go? I mean, are you able to withstand for another 10 or 15 minutes talking about the PowerPoint now? Or I think it's too much. If it's okay with you, I'm fine. I have no problem at all. Okay, okay, yes, fine. I can do this. Yeah, sure. You make wrong PowerPoints because of what? Mm. Yeah, okay. This is what I'm going to talk about. Okay? Yes. You'll see in max 10 minutes you will be able to understand what's a good PowerPoint. Okay? Now, so why, first of all, why there is this thing that when you want something to be remembered, you need to repeat it. We know all this old saying for teachers, repetition is the mother of learning, if you know that, something like that. But ideally, it should be repeated in a different form. Not the same form. Not saying again, you should do this, oh, don't do that. No, no. So PowerPoint enables us to repeat the same thing in a different form. Why? Because it's there, it's written, where I'm saying what I'm saying is oral. This is written, and also it can be repeated in pictures or videos or whatever you wish to. So, visuals. This is PowerPoint. They are there to repeat, to explain, or to summarize, and we'll see how things can be summarized. Now, first of all, when you prepare something, you need to decide what kind of visuals you're going to use. Maybe you want just to use a video, no PowerPoint. For example, if you have a video on virtual geography, short video, please, no more than 2 minutes. And please make sure it works before you come here, because when things don't work and you say, oh, I'm sorry, it's okay, okay. So make sure it works. Short video, maybe this is enough for your introduction or for your conclusion. So this is another way of summarizing the info you have referred to. So you just say before what you need to use. For example, transparencies is what we call PowerPoint, photographs, videos, and then we go to the other things, tables, diagrams, and things we use in a PowerPoint. Now, I'll just go to the, first of all, transparencies. Okay. Transparencies are the slides of the PowerPoint. Please remember that this does not substitute me. I am here. I am the focus of this presentation. You look at me. You do not look at the PowerPoint. So your PowerPoint should not be heavier than your presentation. Should not include all your presentation. It supports it. And it should not include the full text of your presentation. Have a look at this transparency. Do you like it? No. Why? Because while you have this on board there, you have to look at me, listen to me, and probably note down things. Are you able to do this within a second or a moment? Even if I give you 5 minutes for this, would you be able to do this? And what this says, well, the transparency, which is there full of text, says, transparencies do not substitute the presentation, rather they support it by reminding the main points. They should not contain full text, which is copied from the speaker's manuscript, because it is too demanding for the audience. Listeners are required to watch the slide, read the text, listen to the speaker, and store new information. This requires many processes occurring simultaneously, so it is likely that listeners unconsciously select one or two and refrain from the others. Moreover, it is boring to watch a speaker reading from slides. Very interesting. Believe me, in many important people around the globe in conferences do this. They sit on their chair and either they just read this from the PowerPoint, transparencies. So look at me. I don't see you. I have no rapport with you. I'm isolated from you. I'm here with my PowerPoint to do my job and leave. Would you like me to have as a colleague? Possibly. Certainly, nothing will echo in your heart the moment you get out of this room. So this is what usually happens, but it is wrong. The golden rule for this: no more than 6 lines per transparency. No more than 6 words per line. Why? Because it is too, some people read quick, some people read slow. If you have more than 6, okay, let's have 8. But no more than that, because the second phrase, the content should be simple. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 words. It is a bit long already, because you cannot read it quickly. And the moment something is annoying for you, this moment you switch off from listening to me. This is why 6 lines per page, 6 words per line. Look at this one. Okay. No. Okay, this is 1. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is very long. Compare this to this one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Isn't this much more easier for you? Now, some people, because they have written their presentation on a piece of paper, they're not able to extract those parts and render them into shorter phrases because they have written the full text. Okay. What you can do is the PowerPoint enables you to write down the text you are going to present. There is this option underlined the PowerPoint where you copy the text you are going to present but minimize the text you'll have on the slide. So for example, you can write virtual geography versus normal geography. You won't say the definition for virtual geography is this. So 6 lines, 6 words per line. The font should be simple. This is not legible, is not readable. Always, I don't know what happens in Portuguese, but people in Greece tend to believe that capitals is more readable than small letters. Do you think this is better? This slide is better than this one? No. So do not use capitals at all. It's not readable. Color. Should we use color? No. We know that color accelerates learning and recall by 55%. So yes, we do use color. However, do not put too much color. And always be consistent with the color. For example, if you use red for titles, go through your presentation with red for titles only. Why is this so? Because when you present something, you need to establish a communication instantly, and you do this from the first slide. If you change this, then the listener might wonder, why now this is in blue? Is it different from the red? Does this signify something? So use color to stress something, but use it consistently. Usually they say that colors which are warm, like orange, red, or something, they just tend to be better, or green. Green is a very good color. They tend to be better for perception, but these are very minor things which you can improve as time goes by. The background, I would say a safe option always is to use white, because you don't know the place you are going to present. If you know that the place is well lit, or if it works, okay, if it got shaders like this perfect room, it's perfect. Yes, you can use dark color, but I would not go for it, because you never know, for example, whether things work in this room, whether it's too much light, etc., etc. And so white is always a very safe option. Now, there are other things we should always be aware. We already know, but when we write a PowerPoint, we're never aware of. We know that by default, that things in the center are more important than things in the periphery. So if you want to say something which is very important, put it in the center. If you place it here, for example, you have a picture and you place it here, automatically I say it is not important. So these are by default perceptions we already know, things we already know and do, but we have never been taught, in theory. Also, we know that when we read something, our eyes go this way. So if you want to just do not go the opposite side. For example, do not go that way. When we scan things, we see here, here, and down there, lower end. Try to keep this. So we know things in the center. Larger things are more important. If you want to say how big an issue can be, for example, and you have a picture or a diagram or whatever, do not and say, yes, global warming is very important. Do not have a small picture and then you have, I don't know, the Earth there is another huge picture. We know that things which are bigger are more important than things which are less big. And finally, when things are of the same size, shape, or color, we tend to know that they are the same thing. Okay, so here, for example, this is very, very, very similar, an image that shows this, that we know that it talks about the same thing. Because it has the same, it's a mouse, and it's about internet news, etc., etc. So basically, when you structure this, you tend to do this correctly. People tend to follow this automatically. I'm just stressing them now and emphasizing them so that you don't do it wrong when you build your PowerPoint. Now let's go to the photographs. Photographs are ideal when you want to show the appearance of something in just a second. For example, you want to show the symptoms of a disease. You can't describe a disease for 3 minutes and say you've got blisters and you've got pain. If you show us the face of someone who's having a disease, then we can understand what kind of symptoms he has. If it's not fever, etc., if it's something that has to do with the skin. Okay? So a picture is very good for that. However, sometimes it is not considered accurate in science. For instance, when you have results, they need to have hard data. Okay? So try, I don't know, it's up to you what you want to show. Tables. Very good at summarizing a lot of data. Very hard to be read by you. Why? You have so much information. Where should you look at? Is this a pointer? No, it's not. No. Okay. So if you use tables, make sure that you tell everyone where to look. You guide people where to look for. For example, you can see this green square. You know you have to look there. Or you have a pointer, you say, okay, look there. Guide your audience to the table. Otherwise, a table is a disaster. Yes, please.
Talking about tables, and is that a problem to make like a visual effect that crops you just the number that you want to show in the table?
No, this is what you should do. Yes. Yes, just find a way to show people why. If they want your hard copy, the whole data, they can ask for them after the presentation. You can show them and you say, I've got this, etc. You can just give them the data or the results. Just here, usually happens when you have, for example, written something and you have compiled the table. You don't have time to do another table, so you copy this. But tables can be very daunting because you don't know what to look for. So immediately when you show a table, say, please look at that only. Now, let's go to the diagrams. We know that diagrams are usually very good at conveying information very quickly. However, which diagram and why? When you have line diagrams, excellent when you have 2 or 3 groups. Chaotic if you have more than 3 lines. Imagine if you had 4 lines here. Very difficult. It shows tendencies, but we don't know what's going to happen. Pie charts, very good when you have a total of 100%. However, remember that when you have a percentage which is not very evident, very obvious when you have a pie chart, remember to indicate the number. For instance, do you know if this is 27 or 28%? You don't know. So make sure you put the percentage here. And so we all know so there is accuracy. Important presentations. Bar charts. These are very good when you have to have more than it's line charts when you have 2 lines, but we can have more groups. However, what you should notice here is that it is very evident the amount of someone reached or gained or whatever the data with very clear contrasting colors. Why? Because when you see anything in the PowerPoint, you don't elaborate on this for 5 minutes usually. People need to see this for about in some seconds and understand the information. If it is not clear and accurate enough, you confuse them. If you confuse them, they don't take the blame. They don't say it's my fault. They say it's yours. It's my fault as a presenter. Can you get this? So I do not gain their appreciation and respect. And then by implication, what I'm saying might be wrong. Can you get it? Well, pie chart, bar chart, tables. Yes, that's more or less about diagrams. Generally speaking, try not to be too flashy because it takes time and it is interesting in one sense, but on the other hand, remember that it is much better to devote time on your presentation, on saying things, without looking at the PowerPoint and without reading them, than on having a flashy PowerPoint. Because the PowerPoint is a supportive thing. It's your tool. It is not the presentation. Can you get the idea behind it? So don't spend so much time on presentations. They're beautiful presentations, very flashy, but they don't substitute the human factor at all. So key things to remember: 6 lines per page, 6 words per line, no capitals, be consistent with color, and make sure that what you have on the PowerPoint goes in line with what you're saying. For instance, if this is if I start talking about now bar charts, I create some kind of distraction to you because I'm talking about bar charts, but there is no bar chart here. Okay, I'm talking about pictures, but there are no pictures here. This is much more important than having a flashy. So in the end, if you cannot coordinate the PowerPoint with your speech, because when you do it the first time, it's very difficult. You need to know the content of your presentation by heart. You need to be so if you cannot coordinate both things, keep a very simple PowerPoint with the very main parts. It might be a very small PowerPoint, and be ready to deliver your presentation. Okay? Any other questions? Or any other, if anyone would like to have more details or something? No.
How can I be relaxed, no nervous?
Okay, that's a trailer for tomorrow. How to be relaxed. We are going to learn about it tomorrow. Okay. But I can show you, if you want, a very interesting presentation on color psychology. Would you like to? Very, very, because you can use color, and this is, actually this is one of my students did when I asked them to present something, and I think it's very interesting. Okay, this is a presentation about the impact of colors on marketing. So she had to present, to prepare a 10-minute presentation, which, as you will see in the beginning, she starts with all this. I'm going to show you 10 million colors, etc., how much we can see with glasses, etc. So she talks a little bit more than the actual of the theory, which is important, but it was more than 10 minutes. So she provides us with a color wheel. I think it's pointless, and I'm going to explain why. And she gives the primary colors. This is important. And the secondary colors. So we see green, purple, orange. And then she comments on the tertiary and, other colors, which, as you see, analogous, etc. So she explains this, which, as you see, you have already lost your motivation because you expect something which is quicker to reach her point. These are the comments I made on her. I'm going to go quickly this, and then black or white. She explains why this is important. Matching colors. And now she starts getting into the heart, because that was her psychology for marketing. So this is how we get, she could have, deleted the first 5 slides, because it took her, for example, 3 minutes to come to the actual focus, which is the psychology of the for marketing. So she says transition and harmony, how they can explain these things and contrast what kind of colors. So now, and she provides this with this. This is very straightforward. So the very first 5 or 6 slides were very interesting in terms of theory. Too many, though. Too many, because she lost some of the attention of the audience. So she gives us this example. You've got the same T-shirt. Which one would you prefer? Which one would you click? The red. Okay. So we go to the next example. Oh. You've got this one. It's the same hamburger. Which one would you click? Blue. How many of you would pick blue? Raise your hands. No, there is no right or wrong. We all read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, most of you would get yellow. You'll see why later on. So there is another example. Which one of these things, the same card, which one would you go for? Blue. B, blue. Okay, why? So, and now she starts explaining the psychology. What does the red stand for? Physical, visual, so it stands for physical, visual impact, strength, passion, love, desire, survival, appetite, anger, fear, emergency, danger. So when we see red, we always connect red to these ideas. Look at the brands. Which brands have got red? Coke, KFC, Netflix. I don't know what's passion in Netflix, what's there? Anyway, blue, mental. Those who picked blue for the hamburger are very mental. Mental. Trust. They trust McDonald's. Yes, they do trust McDonald's. Safety, intelligence, communication, peace, efficiency. Technology, devotion, coldness. For example, if you would like your presentation to be about something that has to do with efficiency, you could have something with blue. Either a blue title or blue background. This is how it is related. Or communication. Blue, Facebook, Samsung, Intel, American Express, Twitter, they use blue. Yellow, now we go back to the hamburger. Happiness, optimism, friendliness, energy. I would go for energy with this. Appetite, this is why they use it for the hamburger, but many people went it for blue. Stress, anxiety. Yellow, we've got McDonald's for appetite. Shell, the fuels. Nikon, etc. Big, the famous. Green. Green is a very wide, it's a very safe, I would say, color. Why? It shows balance, harmony, rest, growth, health, nature. Envy, money, new. Imagine those brands, not this blue, there is a green color which is a little bit softer, this a little bit, which is softer, which gives this sense of something new, fresh. Look at this, Greenpeace, for example. Pharmacies, I don't know, are pharmacies with green cross in Brazil or red? Red. Well, they used to be red in Europe as well, but they changed many years ago, so they become green. A green cross. It used to be red, yes. So, orange, warmth, shelter, energy, confidence, creativity, friendliness, appetite, entertainment, cheap. Something which is cheap, it might be orange. Okay. Purple, spiritual, luxury. Do you know, can you remember there was a brand for cigarettes, Silk Cut? Were you aware of this? No. Although I'm not a smoker, yes, anyway, it was purple. So royalty, creativity. If you talk about royals, for example, the royal families around the globe, you can use purple. Creativity, elegance, yes, this goes in that. Mystery and magic. Cadbury, the famous brand chocolate. Milk, Milka, another chocolate, etc. Yahoo. How about black, gray, and white? We use them a lot. Black, seriousness, sophistication, depression, death. Gray, neutrality, technology, charm. White, purity, hygiene, emptiness. Yes, so a fun fact, 19% of a consumer instant decision is based on color. Once more we see this. Yes, most people get that. Most people go for the green, for the blue. So, I'm just very quickly went over this to show you how the color you can use either in your background or in your letters, if you have time to do so, can affect the impact of your presentation. And can also, please remember 2 or 3 things. The first one is you take your listeners' needs and knowledge when you prepare your presentation. Then, when you start presenting, either your PowerPoint and you try to capture your listeners' attention quickly and be reliable. Do not break this channel of communication. For example, as I said before, you do not use red and just blue. If you have time to do it, just do it black and white. No, it's much better to have a very simple PowerPoint than a confusing PowerPoint. Okay, and the third thing is that practice makes you perfect. The first time will not be good, the second will be better, the fifth will be almost excellent, the sixth will be stress-free. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow. Please, thank you for those who are going to present tomorrow. We'll meet at 10. Okay.